US intelligence warned Donald Trump that Israel is preparing a large-scale provocation to finally derail the agreement between Iran and the US. According to intelligence, Netanyahu, under heavy political pressure ahead of the fall elections in Israel, is prepared to do anything to prevent Trump from declaring victory. Although Trump has already declared victory, even though there is still no agreement with Iran. At this time, Trump's envoys went to Switzerland anyway for negotiations with the Iranians, which this time are scheduled for Sunday. Meanwhile, Iran's military command has already officially announced today the closure of the Hormuz Strait to shipping. Tehran cited several reasons, and one of them is assumed to be this: the alleged violation by Israel of the ceasefire in Lebanon and the failure of the United States to fulfill the first point of the preliminary agreement to end the war. And this first point is actually the most scandalous one, for which Trump is now being heavily criticized, and of course it concerns money. My name is Alexei Peachy. Let's discuss this whole topic together in detail. But before we start, subscribe to the channel, give it a like, and leave any comment under this video. This is a humiliating agreement for the United States, one of the worst deals I have ever seen. These are the words of Donald Trump himself, though, to be fair, they were said back in 2015 when Barack Obama made an agreement with Iran, according to which the Western sanctions previously imposed on the Islamic Republic of Iran were suspended in exchange for limiting the nuclear program under the control of the IAEA. But these same words of Trump are now a perfect fit to describe the current deal between the US and Iran. But even this agreement, seemingly bad as it may be, is also under threat of falling apart. Moreover, the attempt to disrupt the agreement is being attributed to Israel. American intelligence agencies have warned Donald Trump's administration that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will take major steps that could undermine Trump's efforts to reach a final peace agreement with Iran. This is reported today by the Washington Post. According to American intelligence, Ukraine, finding himself under strong political pressure ahead of the fall elections, he intends to continue military operations against Americans in Lebanon, according to intelligence agencies. This directly contradicts the Donald Trump administration as the signed agreement by the Prime Minister on military actions, the Israeli minister, but Benjamin Netanyahu cannot, warns of major steps, Ukraine. Donald Trump's Americans, otherwise he will simply lose the elections in Israel this fall. And so the intelligence report notes that the political survival of Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, is something Benjamin will demonstrate to the Israeli audience. According to one American intelligence official, quote, a ceasefire or major steps capable of withdrawing troops from Lebanon will be perceived in Israel as a personal defeat for Netanyahu. The intelligence report also describes Ukraine. Israel is worried that the memorandum's terms per Jerusalem weaken the American strategy of maximum pressure on Tehran. Intelligence officials have already publicly warned the administration and allies about the tension. So, on Wednesday, June, Donald Trump directly stated that he has, quote, a small disagreement with Netanyahu regarding Lebanon and urged the Israeli leader, quote, not to. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warns Ukraine about major developments. American intelligence agencies warned the Donald Trump administration not to, and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin warns of threats capable of undermining Islam. Белый дом уже дал понять, что не American intelligence agencies warned the administration. U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance stated the day before quoting Trump that this sabotage is simply inevitable now. U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance stated the day before, quote, Donald Trump is the only head of state in the world who sympathizes with Israel, and the American president is the head of a superpower. If I were in the Israeli government, I would not attack the only ally Israel has left. And here he warns not to attack the only powerful ally I have left. Here we need to mention Ukraine. Bibi is in a very difficult situation. He sees how his main rival, that is the Iranian regime, is getting stronger and even getting stronger with the support of the US administration, and he can't do anything about it. On the other hand, without a complete withdrawal of Israeli troops from Lebanon, renewed hostilities between the Israeli military and Hezbollah are virtually guaranteed. And that means there will be no peace agreement between the US and Iran in the end. But for Israel, this is all a huge problem. In the new agreement, the United States not only commits to lifting all types of sanctions against Iran, including UN Security Council sanctions, and to provide full access to Iran's frozen or restricted funds and assets, but also, quote, together with regional partners, allocate at least $300 billion for the reconstruction and economic development of Iran. This is clearly stated in the Memorandum of Understanding. Well, it's hard to call this anything other than reparations. That's essentially what it is, reparations. And how to explain this to the Israelis is unclear. Iran's obligations, meanwhile, are minimal. In the short term, it's really just about opening the Strait of Hormuz on a trial basis, free of charge for 60 days. After that, Iran will start collecting fees for ships passing through the Strait of Hormuz, and Trump agreed to this. As for the fate of the Iranian nuclear program, the only option recorded in the text is, quote, reducing the level of material enrichment on site under supervision. Iran, however, once again assured that it has no intention of developing nuclear weapons. But friends, just to repeat this declaration yet again, it was clearly not worth starting a regional war. What Trump achieved in this matter, I still don't understand. But the main problem for Israel is this. Neither the missile program nor the Islamic Republic's support for terrorist groups are mentioned at all in the text of the agreement. At the same time, Washington, without batting an eye, met Tehran halfway and promised on Israel's behalf to stop military actions in Lebanon as well. And then Benjamin Netanyahu immediately stated that the US agreements with Iran do not concern Israel, which considerably spoiled Donald Trump's mood. The continuation of strikes by the Israel Defense Forces against Hezbollah in Lebanon will immediately give Tehran a reason to boycott the negotiation process, which was supposed to start in Switzerland on Friday, but never did. As a result, on Saturday, June 20, the Iranian military command officially announced the closure of the Hormuz Strait to shipping. Tehran cited several reasons. The Iranian command stated that they decided to close the Hormuz Strait due to alleged violations by Israel of the ceasefire in Lebanon and the United States' failure to fulfill the first point of the preliminary agreement to end the war. And next I will quote a statement from the central headquarters of the Joint Military Command of Iran, Khatam al-Anbiya. We declare that the Hormuz Strait will be closed to the passage of ships. This is the first step in response to the enemy's violation of agreements, and if aggression continues, further measures will be planned and taken to force the enemy to fulfill its obligations. But before continuing with this episode, I want to ask you to subscribe to the channel and leave your comment. Be sure to like this episode, and I'll tell you that on the Patreon platform, as well as on Telegram, I have created a closed community called Peachy Insight. I invite you to join for a small fee, where we can discuss absolutely anything together. I answer your questions. There will be exclusive streams held there only for paid subscribers, and together with you, we can discuss, for example, ideas for future episodes here on YouTube. There you can also ask me personal questions, and I will definitely answer you personally. If you just want to support me with a one-time donation, all the links and details for the exclusive community and donation platforms are in the description of this video. I will be grateful for any support you give. And please subscribe to my social media. The links are also in the description of this video. For example, there you can also find content that doesn't always appear here on YouTube. It's funny that Donald Trump's supporters still insist that all of this is fake, that it's all the work of the Democrats, that it's all fake news, and so on. So Iran is already officially announcing that it is closing the Hormuz Strait, but these people still say it's all lies. I'm often amazed by the comments under my videos. For example, just yesterday there were links to these materials, but people were still commenting, "You're lying, Peachy, how dare you?" Iran didn't close the Hormuz Strait, Donald Trump slammed his fist on the table, and now everything is open again. Do you even watch this video? What's going on? And when I read comments like that, at first it made me smile, but now it makes me feel afraid. What kind of people am I even living in the same world with? So, they're just telling you directly. Iranian military comes out and says, we've closed the Hormuz Strait. After that, I don't even know how to react to this anymore.
No evidence suggests the waterway is closed. I don't think the Iranians are still closing the Strait of Hormuz.
And now sources are reporting that the US, together with Qatar, are developing a plan that will allow Iran to access billions of dollars in frozen assets for humanitarian needs. This is another early financial incentive as part of the recently signed temporary ceasefire agreement. According to this plan, Iran may gain access to part of its frozen funds, the total amount of which is estimated at $100 billion, starting with $6 billion held in Qatar. With this money, Qatar will allow the purchase of food, medicine, and other humanitarian goods as ordered by the Central Bank of Iran. The money received from frozen assets is mainly cash from oil sales that was blocked abroad as a result of sanctions. This mechanism could serve as a model for working with other reserves. Frozen Iranian funds around the world and the release of the first tranche of the $24 billion in blocked assets, which Tehran wants to receive as soon as possible. How else can you call this if not a concession from Donald Trump? I don't even know. But Trump will, lie straight to his supporters' faces, claiming that, first of all, this is Iranian money. Secondly, it's not America giving the money. For example, it's Qatar that takes the money from its accounts and gives it away. But even here, a lot can go wrong. Iran's Supreme Leader, Mahmoud Mojtaba Khamenei, stated on Thursday, June 18, that US President Donald Trump signed the agreement out of desperation. This seemed to prompt Trump to respond with his own angry social media post, which went like this. We didn't meet out of desperation, but Iran, yes, out of desperation, they're finished. We'll play out these 60 days, that's the phrase. The phrase, we'll play out these 60 days, means that Trump is unilaterally ready to fulfill the agreement that Iran is already violating. So, according to the agreement signed on Wednesday, the US commits to making Iran's frozen assets fully available for use and to agreeing on a mechanism to ensure this. And this week, a US representative stated that the money will keep coming as long as Iran constructively participates in the negotiations. Do you understand the depth of Trump's failure? I mean, Iran can negotiate for months, and during that time, the money will gradually keep coming into their account. So, the Americans are saying that as long as Iran stays in the negotiation process, we will gradually unfreeze their assets during all this time. The question is, where is the incentive for Iran to reach a final peace agreement as soon as possible? I don't think there is one. You're getting paid, so why rush? And now, on Sunday, Trump's envoys Witkoff and Kushner are flying to Switzerland for talks with the Iranians, who aren't showing any signs that they're ready to engage in any meaningful negotiations. As a result, the conclusion of a full-fledged agreement between the US and Iran is extremely unlikely. However, the war is over. The global economy is counting its losses and returning to normal operations. It's a pity, of course, that amid geopolitics, the fate of the Iranian people has been forgotten. The very people Donald Trump supposedly rushed to help in January of this year. Well, who remembers that now, right? I'll leave it at that. Your opinion, your conclusions, Iranskoy. But leave your comments under this episode, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and if fate allows, leave a like if you have a question. It motivates the work of this YouTube channel. Has Iran already reached a final agreement? In my opinion, it's extremely unlikely that Iran will sign a full-fledged agreement. The details are in the description to this video. It is unlikely that Iran will sign any agreement with you. That's all for now. Take care. Goodbye, everyone.